Hi guys, Swati this side. I'm the content strategist for iDream Career, right? As you all know, that today's session is on how to pursue your career in politics. This session will be taken by Mr. Shantanu, who's there. You can see him in the film strip, right? And basically, right. So he'll be taking this session today. And just to remind you, the duration is approximately 60 minutes. You can post your questions by just clicking on the top right hand side. You can see a square icon. Just click on that. You can see question and answers, and you can post your questions there. And we'll try and address it in this session itself, right? And I guess that's about it. So handing over to you, Shantanu. I think we should begin now. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Swati. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Very
Yeah.
much
Maybe
so.
you can mute yourself and others so that the voice will amplify.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So yeah, let's start talking about career in politics, which may sound odd to many people that because career in politics is not that a lot of people seek as a career, right? It looks like okay, there are politicians, there are we, right? The civilians and politicians, like that. But we try to see that the people, first of all, we try to learn three things here. We try to see what all careers are there in policy and politics. Second, then see what kind of people are currently in politics, so that how can we become them. Third thing, we'll see that what is the process of going entering into politics. Right, these are the three things we'll try to see. I have prepared some 4-5 slides which can help us in taking through this process. So Swati, if you are able to hear me, if you can project the PPT and I can take them through the slides.
Sure, I'll just do that. Are you able to see the PPT now?
Yeah, it's there. If you want to run it, maybe. Otherwise, also fine. At least go to the third slide directly. We can jump to the third slide directly.
Right, I'll just do that. Um, this is the third one, right?
Yeah, though it's not coming on the screen as of now, but third is the picture of a parliament and a picture of a assembly.
Right. You're there.
It's not coming on the screen though.
It will take some time. Yeah, that's it. Can you see it
Maybe
now?
I'll start maybe talking about it by the time it's coming.
Yes.
So in this slide, basically, we are trying to see what is the current government structure, right? So let's say if you're trying a career in a company, what you try to see first, you try to see that what's the structure in the company, right? So that at what level and which structure you can fit in, right? So if you are seeking a career in politics, first of all, you should know what's the structure of the government, right? Where all the career opportunities available. Uh, so to starting with, I think at the central level we have Parliament. Parliament have two components. One is Lok Sabha and one is Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is considered the lower house and Rajya Sabha is considered the upper house. Uh, if you know, you watch these channels Lok Sabha TV and Rajya Sabha TV. Lok Sabha is depicted in green color. Green color depicts grassroots and people's representation. That's why Lok Sabha is elected. Rajya Sabha is the upper house, is collected by the red color, and which shows basically the upper house. And there are people from the intellectual fraternity in Rajya Sabha, and they are considered as the conscious keeper. So these are the two places where the career is available, however odd it may sound. So around 540, 543 members in Lok Sabha, around 250 members in Rajya Sabha. Now coming to the state level, so I've just depicted with one of the states as example, let's say Karnataka State Assembly. Uh, so we have a state government where we have a Vidhan Sabha, which is a constitutional assembly. Uh, in 5 to 6 states in India, we also have an upper house which is called Vidhan Parishad. So anyone who is a parliamentarian at center level is called a member of parliamentarian, be it Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Anyone who is a member in a Vidhan Sabha is called a member of Legislative Assembly, which we normally known as call as MLA. Anyone who is a member of Vidhan Parishad, it's called a MLC, member of Legislative Council. Right. So at center level, you can be a member of Parliament. So around 770 odd positions available there. And at state level, we have Vidhan Sabha, and a couple of six big states, we have Vidhan Parishad also. We have MLA or MLCs. Throughout India, counting all the MLAs, MLCs, all the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha members together, there are 4,500 to 5,000 odd jobs. So these are the one set of jobs that are available. Around 5,000 openings are there, if I can say so. Then there's the third tier of government, which is the local government. And in local government, we have the urban and the rural government. In urban government, we have three kinds of urban bodies. In big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, we have municipal corporation. It's called Nagar Nigam. In second tier cities, we have municipal councils. It's called Nagar Palika. And in very small cities, 10,000 and above, it's called city council or called Nagar Panchayat. Right? There also you can be a ward member or you can be the head of the municipal council, which is called the chairman or a mayor. Right? You hear like a Delhi mayor or a Mumbai mayor. Right? So you can be, or in a small cities you have a chairman of the municipal council. So in urban local bodies also we have a lot of positions available. Coming to rural, again we have three-tier structure there. At the district level we have Zilla Panchayat. At the block level we have Kshetra Panchayat, and at the village level we have Gram Panchayat. Right? So again you have ward members there and the head of the head of the institution. So these are all positions available in the elected government. And then parallel to elected government, you have a bureaucracy, right? Which normally the entry happen through IAS, civil service, UPC. But currently we are talking in this session to enter into active politics, which is through electoral politics. Right? Moving on to the next slide, slide number 4. I'm not sure is it visible on the screen. I think the slides are not moving, unfortunately, Swati.
The feeder lines to politics is going to be the next slide, right?
Yeah, but I think I'm still on the screen able to see only career in politics, the original slide.
Yeah, it takes a slight lag and then it goes to the next slide.
Okay. Though I think the slides are just indicative.
Yeah.
So now we talk about the feeder lines to politics. That what all one can do to be in the politics, or what all the current people have done to be in politics. Right? To start with. I see that a normal person and becoming a politician, there can be a feeder line. There has to be a feeder line, right? So let's say if I talk about IIT, if you want to crack IIT, you study a particular subject, right? You crack your maths, your physics, your chemistry. You go to Kota to take a coaching, or you join some other good coaching. If you're medical, if you're fashion designing, there is a feeder line, right? If you want to do a CA, there is a feeder line. So any career has a feeder line, right? So let's try to analyze that what are the feeder lines available, or what are the feeder lines that the current politicians took to be in politics. So start with one is the family feeder line. So someone like a Rahul Gandhi who born in a political family, or someone like a Badal in Shiromani Akali Dal who born in a political family, so entered into politics. That's first feeder line, right? A family feeder line. Second feeder line can be a famous personality, someone like a Navjot Singh Sidhu or a Hema Malini, who were in active theatre or films, who were famous otherwise, or a Sachin Tendulkar, let's say, or a Kirti Azad, let's say, right? Anyone who was, or a Bhaichung Bhutia who recently fought on Trinamool Congress ticket, right? So anyone who is famous from sports or films or otherwise in theatre, right? So that can be other feeder line, that they're so popular, they're already known among people, and then any of the political party take them into politics. That can be another feeder line, right? Third feeder line can be people who are in any kind of bureaucratic role, right? So let's say people like Yashwant Sinha, people like Kanshi Ram, or even an international role like someone like a Shashi Tharoor in UN, and later enter into politics. So these people were already had a knowledge of how a government functions. They were close to politicians, of one party or other, and at one point they joined a political party and finally entered into a parliament through Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. Right? So that's one feeder line. Fourth feeder line, uh, you'll find this feeder line in large part of UP and large part of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh. In fact, almost some portion everywhere, but largely in these states. So every political person, and this is more towards the state level, every political person needs money to fight. The legal money allowed in a state election is around 40 lakhs, and around the national election is 70 lakhs. But we all know it's an open fact. A lot of politicians are committed an open platform that you need far more money to run election, to run for election. In fact, election commission recently said they need around 3 to 4 crores to conduct an election on a seat, on a parliamentary seat. So you can imagine, just to conduct an election which happens on on a day on a seat, and you need 4 crore rupees, then how can you ask a parliamentarian to reach out to around a population of 25 lakhs, which a normal parliamentarian represents in 70 lakhs? Right? But whatever is the money, you need money. We all know you need money, right? And at a local level, who gives this money to politicians? A lot of parties partially fund their candidates, but a lot of local people also fund their candidates. And why they fund it? So that when they are in power, maybe they can get some help in industry. Right? And the large number of politicians are funded by the contractors. Find a lot of contractors. So every district has a budget of 1,000 to 2,000 crores, right? Large part of this budget on construction is spent on construction. Be it the construction of roads, be it the construction of a panchayat bhavan, a school building, a small pull, a check dam, a small road in the village. There's a lot of construction that keep happening in any village. And if you think all 600 plus odd districts in India, there's a lot of construction that's happening at the local level. And this construction is not done by your big companies, it's not done by your L&Ts and Shapoorji Pallonji. They're done by local small contractors. They may sound small from outside, but all these contractors do a business between 5 crores to 100 crores in every district, right? And this business is normally they get by being hand in glove with the local politician, right? And by virtue of that, a DM allocates. So to be in the good books of a local politician, they fund a local politician, and to oblige these funders, a local politician get them some contract. Right? That's how it is. And at some point, these contractors see that if I myself directly enter into politics, I can expand my business. Right? So if I can cut the long story short, I can say that someone who is having a big small construction business, business which is running from 5 to 100 crores in a district, who's funding a local politician, he may at some point think, and in a lot of cases it happen, that he directly entered into politics. And because you also have the money already to run an election, a political party also look for winnability, and which is already there by the virtue of money. And so the contractors are one breed which you find a lot of people, contractors, real estate people, to win politics, right? So I'll say real estate and contractors. 1/5 feeder line to politics is a lot of people who work with the politician for a long time, right? You can call them sidekicks, chamchas, or someone handling their work. So let's say I'm working with a politician for around 20 years, and then as an obligation, he may get a panchayat ticket or a councillor ticket, or maybe an MLA. Right? So, but such a feeder line has a long incubation, right? So that one kind of feeder line. One feeder line which currently is not so active is the student leadership. Right? You'll find in past someone like Arun Jaitley or a Rudy or Ajay Makhan. A lot of people came into student politics, right? So you're a part of a ABVP or NSUI or maybe some other left-wing student ASFI outfit, and then finally you pursue a career. But currently it's become a little opposite. Even to enter into a student politics, you need some kind of political background. So you don't find real students entering into student politics and then finally into mainstream politics. but still in small places this the feeder line is still active.
Right.
So these are the 6 feeder lines. One parallel feeder line in all of this is can be if you are a lawyer by profession, right? There is a and you have any one of this also. There is one more possibility that that can get you into a political role, right? You have Meenakshi Lekhi, you have Kapil Sibal, who have a legal background, who held a political party in their legal cases, or who are good in speaking, good in argument, and can be a good spokesman. So that can be a one virtue a party wants to exploit. Right? We talked about a family history in politics, sports or film career. You are already famous. A bureaucrat or a UN or a role like a Manmohan Singh, he was an IMF earlier. A real estate person, a contractor who has a lot of money, who's funding a politician and now entered into politics
Yeah.
himself. A student politics, someone who does student politics and then take full-time politics. And someone who helps a politician or a sidekick for a politician or a PA for a politician for a long time can also enter politics. Now, how clear it may look if these are the 6, 7 lines with large number of politicians follow. The challenging part is that a normal person doesn't come from any of these feeder lines. Probability of you being from a political family, probability of you being a bureaucrat, probability of you being from a sports or film career, probability of you being a big real estate person, probability of you working for a politician for 20 years, probability of you being a student leader, probability of you being a lawyer is very limited, right? They are very niche professionals or niche ways, right? So it looks like then only if only these people can make it to politics, then what for me? Then how can I enter into politics, right? Now we have to create a new feeder line for us. We have to find out what can be a new feeder line. Couple of ways that we can find out a feeder line for us can be finding a new way so that you can be useful to a political party, to a political leader, right? That's one way. So you have to create two things, to my understanding, to be in active politics. First of all, you have to create a political capital so that you know some politicians, right? You are in good books of some politicians. You are useful for some politicians, right? So that's I call it a political capital, right? So having acquaintance with the political people, whichever political party your ideology matters. Second thing, let's say if you want to looking for a electoral route, which is a Lok Sabha or assembly MLA route, then you have to fight elections. So you may want to increase your desirability in the local area, right? I'll call it a social capital, right? So one has to develop a mix of a social capital, which will finally fetch him votes, and one has to develop a political capital, will finally fetch him a ticket to run a vote in a political.
Right. Right.
How one can develop a political capital? Political capital you can develop by being useful to a politician. How can be useful to a politician? And being what you are. You are not in the feeder lines already, right? You don't have a lot of money.
Right.
You're not famous. You're not a bureaucrat. You're not a student leader. You're not from a family.
Mhm.
Still, how can you be useful, right? So, couple of ways can be. So now, from last 5 years, politics is getting very technical, right? So you have a lot of data. You have a lot of research. You have a lot of policy research. You have a lot of electoral data research, right? Uh, you have a lot of research. You have a lot of research on social media. You have a lot of research on internet, new technology. So if you can be useful in any of these, if you are very good with numbers and do a lot of electoral research, that how the number crunching, how you can, if you can analyze the election result on a particular constituency in last 20 years and present to the local area politicians that this is the way you can strategize, right? If you can help in some other ways of, if you are good in NGO background, if you know what are the real issues in the area, you can update the politician what are the real issues. You can help in his speeches, in the data. If you can help him in the social media in the last election we have seen how important is social media, right? Uh,
Right.
so so if you can help him in the social media, how to be in Facebook, how to do a Google Hangout, so how you can connect with the youth, and in the process become useful for the politician. So that can be one of the way to create the political capital. Parallelly, but you also want so that's to get a ticket, right? So that you get noticed and you are at least one of the probables to get it. One of the also way these days winnability is very important for every political party, right? So before giving an election, normally they conduct a survey in the field that which person can win, right? For that, you should be dear to the people. People should know you, right? So then you have to create a social capital, right? So how you can create a social capital? So let's say you take an assembly constituency, right, which is a population of, let's say, 3 to 5 lakhs, right? There's a total population, voting population of maybe 1.5 to 2 lakhs, right? Then what you have to do in that area, you have to start some interventions, right? If it's a slum area, you have to start teaching kids maybe. If it's you can have some technology intervention. You can help poor people to connect with the government policies. So let's say in city like Delhi, governments have like 70, 80, 100 policies, right, on pensions, scholarship schemes, health benefits, but a lot of poor people are not able to get this government benefits. That maybe you can be the person, you can have a team who can help people to get this government benefits. You can do a lot of other social activities. You may run job fairs, which can be very important for youth. Right? You can done some employment courses in the area, right? You can done cleanliness drives. So anything which can be beneficial to the people, which they are not able to do themselves, connecting them to the government, all of that will create a social capital for you, right? So now with this, you have a social capital and you have a desirability in the area. You already know some politician. So and at some point, you can consciously try that these social capital and political capital can connect at some time, and you create enough political capital in a party to get a ticket, and finally, if the ticket converts into enough social capital, you may win the election, right? So this can be at least a story that you can build for yourself. Now moving to the next slide. So let's say if you get the ticket, right? If you get the ticket, then you have to fight the election. What are the nuances for an election? And then we'll come to once you get elected, that what you have to do. Once you get elected, then it's all the ball game of policy making and understanding the policy. So we'll move to the next slide where I'm showing a ladder and what are the different stages that one have to follow to run an election. So the first thing to run election is to getting a party ticket. Then you have to arrange for election expenditure. If your party is funding it, it's fine. Then you have to get election expenditure, your own money, or you raise money somehow. Aam Aadmi Party have shown us that how they've raised money online. BJP has raised a lot of money online in the last election. They have also collected money. Ek note, Kamal par vote. Right? There can be a lot of interesting ways to raise money to run the election. Then you have to maybe do a lot of election data crunching. You have to see what are the opinion polls are doing, what are the not exit polls to the election, what are the opinions polls doing, how you can change the election, what are can be the election issues. So you can employ a lot of survey companies or conduct surveys yourself using your team. You have to maybe have a psephologist in your team who can help you in finding out the real issues in your area. Then comes the part of your own manifestos. Party will having a manifesto, but if you want to create a manifesto for your own area, right? Let's say in last Delhi election in December, Aam Aadmi Party and BJP both came with the area-wise manifesto. That can be one of the strategies. So you can have your own campaign strategy. That which is my voter, which you have to campaign, which you have to find out that who's and what they want, how you want to address it, right? You have to have a content because this is a very new age politics, at least in urban scenario. You find content that the people will want you to hear from you, and you have to deliver it to them. So then you have to design your campaign. One is the campaign, and then the campaign material, right? So you want to send a letter to every constituency. You want to find a letter to every home that what you will deliver, right? And constituency can be different. So old people can be one constituency. Working people can be one constituency. Working women can be one constituency, right? Youth can be one constituency who have just joined college can be one constituency. Children can be one constituency, though they are not voting, but they may influence voting behavior of their parents. Right? These can be different constituencies that you have to hard think through, right? People living in slums can be one constituency, right? Who have living very hard life, struggling the basics of water and electricity still because they are not legalized, right? At least in urban scenario, right? So these can be your strategies, right? Now, on the day of the election is also very important that you have to make sure that that your voter votes, right? So you have to make sure that your voter, that you have find out that these places are my voter. You have to make sure that your voter goes and vote there, right? So people put their polling agents and make sure that their voter. A lot of people employ bicycles and vehicles so that their voter come to the polling booth. These days, at least in urban places, the polling booths are very near to their homes. So, but you have to make sure that door by door, knocking each and door, that your voter votes, right? Your voter doesn't run away on a holiday on a voting on a voting. Then I think then is the day of the counting where you can't do much. You can only pray and think that you will win. Right? You have to make sure that the election happens, the counting happens fairly. So the election commission asks you for a representative when the counting is happening. So these are the stages, right? So I think my session ends here, and I just recapitulated again. So first of all, I talked about what are the career openings. So it's Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. The state level is Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. So you can be a member of parliamentarian, a member of parliament, or a member of legislative assembly, a Vidhayak. Then in urban and local bodies, you can be municipal at different levels, and you can be rural and panchayats at different levels. Feeder lines to politics can be families, so a famous personality, be a bureaucrat, be a real estate person, working with a politician or student politics or a lawyer. If you're not any of them, which is a high probability, you have to develop your own political capital and social capital. Political capital can be developed by being used to do a political party or useful to a politician. It can be new age by new age technology or by research, election research or policy research. Social capital you have to generate by being in the field. You can be a connection between a population and the government, or running some welfare program, or representing any. You can be a champion of a particular topic, be the cleaning of a river in your area, or creating a new road in your area, creating a new bridge in your area, right? So you can be a favorite of local people by being that. And then there is a whole process of election, from getting the ticket to managing election expenditure, to manage your campaign strategy, to managing your manifestos, to doing a door-to-door campaigning, and then finally on the day of the election, managing make sure that you vote. So this can be the large strategy to be carried in politics. And a lot of things which is little typical in politics to speak in an open platform. And I'll share my contacts, and we can if someone interested, we can speak at length there, right? So Swati, if there are any questions, I can take the questions based on my presentation or the questions you received earlier, or
Right,
during.
right. We did receive questions earlier, right? We received questions earlier, so I'll just read them out to you, and you can address them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a second here. Um, so yeah, question is by Mr. Vijay Kumar. What are the work opportunities available in rural politics? Why do Indians have pathetic civic sense, and what are your suggestions to effectively deal with it?
So I think this question is a mix of policy and politics, but I still answer. So
Yeah,
rural politics has got a lot to offer, right? Because in rural India is far less developed than urban India, right? And whenever anything is less developed, you have far more opportunities, right? So from roads to electricity, so places like Gujarat and Maharashtra, a lot of electricity, but places like UP and Bihar are still struggling with the basic thing of electricity. So, in fact, it's very odd in 2014 to talk about electricity and road. It should be given like by this time, at least we should have the basic things, and we should have think of something else. But in rural India, at least in large part of North India, we're strictly struggling with the basic things, right? And then you can also have advanced form of farming, you have rural empowerment, how you can financial inclusion of poor people, cleanliness is the issue, hygiene is the issue, sanitation is a big problem when almost 30 to 50% defecates in open. There's a lot of opportunities, right? Talking about hygiene sense, I still don't say that it's Indians who don't have a hygiene sense. Almost 70 to 100 years back, England was very dirty, US was very dirty. Only thing is a very strong law and order that makes the hygiene possible. It's not that if I'm allowed to throw, anybody will, right? So I'm not saying morally Indians are very corrupt. And you can see, right? Airports are clean. Okay, let alone airport. A different kind of people travel in airport, right?
our
Metro.
homes are very
Delhi
clean.
Metro.
Our homes
Our
are very
homes are clean. Our homes are clean. I'm saying for a public property. For a public property, Delhi Metro is the best example. Delhi Metro is used by poorest of the poor also, right? From going from one part of the Delhi to another part of Delhi, you can still go in 20-25 rupees, right? Wherever in a bus will cost you more, right? So you'll find even beggars using Delhi Metro, but Delhi Metro is still clean. Why it's clean? Because there are cameras inside. There are fine boards. If you litter, you will be fined. So I think it's the result of tough law and order rather than a moral dictation that morally we should be hygiene, right? And US and UK and Europe is clean not because they're morally different people, because the laws are very strict.
Law and order, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you litter there and you pay a heavy bill, and next time you remember not to litter.
Yeah, yeah, completely
Yeah,
agree.
next we can take the next one.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions actually, so I'll just go one by one now. Yeah, so there's more. Um, okay, there's another one by Vijay Kumar. Your views on the future of technology in politics and governance. What is the key difference between political leadership with leadership in any other field? Again by Vijay Kumar.
Right. So I think if I understand, there are two questions. One is what is the role of technology in politics? How technology can be used in politics? That's one.
Yeah.
Second thing, I guess, what's the difference between a normal leader or a manager and a political leader, right? So I'll ask you the first one. That technology now has a huge role in politics. We have in electoral politics and post-electoral politics both, and we have seen in the last election that how at least Narendra Modi and BJP and even other parties, Aam Aadmi Party and other parties, how they used social media especially and other forms of technology, be it SMS, be it WhatsApp, be it Google Hangouts, be it their rallies, one can follow their rallies on phone, right? And Narendra Modi especially, and he used technology beautifully, right, to connect with youth, right? In fact, I think it's very funny that Narendra Modi being 64-year old and nobody even never talked about his age, and that's because of the technology that he's and what young people represent. They represent a lot of energy and a lot of use of technology, right? That one of the one or two symbols to identify with youthness, right? Youthfulness, right? And he represented both of them, right? So to connect to people, technology can be the best medium to advertise about yourself, to advise about your policies, to advise about your initiatives. Technology can be the best and very cheap medium, right? By Facebook, I can reach to lakhs and lakhs of people. Otherwise, I cannot. I cannot travel so much. I cannot give newspaper. A newspaper ad will cost you lakhs and lakhs. On Facebook, you can almost reach free of cost or by a very minimal cost, right? So technology can be an amazing thing in current kind of when technology is very cheap, when mobiles are very cheap, when telephony is very cheap, when the data is very cheap. Technology can be an amazing thing in a country as big as India, right? In fact, India can the best use technology because India is a huge country. You can travel even a parliamentarian. Who represent almost 25 lakh people, he can't visit and meet every person even in 5 years, right? Or for 10 year, right? Technology can be amazing thing to connect with people. Second thing in political leadership and other leadership, I think political leadership is far more tough than being a CEO of a company. Reason being, and in CEO of the company, the variables that you have to manage are very few, right? What you have to manage as CEO, right? You have employees, you have a task, and then you have a bottom line, you have a top line and bottom line, right? So you have employees who will assign it, who you will assign a task. They will deliver a service or produce a product. You will sell this service or a product in the market, and you will earn the profit, right? In politics, the profit is the only the social profit, right? And you have to manage very many variables, right? So emotions of the people, caste of the people, religion of the people have thousands of problems. Every politician should be, people think that he should know everything, like he should be master of electricity to sewage to roads to education to health, right? Because he represents everything of your life, right? So first of all, you have to multi-skilled, at least you should know something about everything, right? So that's one thing. Your knowledge level should be vast. You should know what's happening in other areas. You should know what's happening in other countries, right? You should know what's happening in the policy areas, right? Of every field. So your knowledge level has to be vast. You're able to connect with someone having a BMW and someone who's not able to having a two meals. You should be able to connect with all kind of people. With CEO it doesn't happen. CEO is almost the same kind of employees, right? So your ability to connect with different kind of people, your ability to understand different kind of problems, your ability to understand different kind of policy areas is vast uh, in a political leadership scenario, and your ability to enthuse people should be vast in a political leadership, which may not be required maybe in other kind of leaderships. So yeah, we may take a next question.
Right, right. So, same person, what are the challenges and opportunities for women who aspire to be politicians someday? Okay, so Vijay Kumar has actually written a lot of questions, so this is another one by him.
Okay, that's true.
Should I repeat this question or
No, no. So basically, in fact, I was in Indian School of Business Mohali campus 2 weeks back, talking on women leadership in India.
Yeah.
So women leadership in India is a very interesting topic. It's a very detailed topic.
True.
In fact, we can conduct a session on it separately. But just to answer
Oh,
him,
great. Great.
at the local level, we have 33% reservation mandated by law. That at municipal level and at panchayat level, that 33% seats has to be given to women, right? And how government works it out? Basically, they reserve 33% of seats. So a seat which is marked as a woman, only a woman can fight, right? In a couple of other countries, such a reservation is there, but they normally do reservation by the seats. By the ticket allocation of the political party. So let's say a political party is putting candidates in 100 seats. The seats will not be reserved. They have to make sure that 33% of the seats should be given to the women candidates, right? That can be one of the bills. The bill in the parliament, which is started by the Devagowda government, is still pending. Parties like Samajwadi Party and Janata Dal United, they oppose women reservation bill, and they have the argument that the kind of women that they will come in the parliament by reservation will not the kind of women will represent the poor women of the poor women in the country. So the bill is still not passed. The positive consequences of women reservation for women in local leadership is yet to be seen in broad scale. You will still find the problems of a Pradhan Pati or a Pradhan Putra, as it's called. That even if a woman is a panchayat leader or a municipal ward member, the husband or the son or any male member of the family is running the show, not the woman. Woman fights the election because the seat is reserved for the woman. But I think it has to start from the political party rather than reserving the seat. But reserving the seat is almost forcefully pushing someone who may be not inclined to be in the politics, right? So I think it has to be incubated from the political party. Fortunately, in BJP, 33% in the executive and 33% in the party and 25% in the state positions are women. In Congress, this number is around 10 to 11%. Aam Aadmi Party, which is said to be a different party, they only have one member in their whole core team, which is a woman. Left Party is again champion for the cause. In the whole Politburo, is only one woman member. Political party, apart from BJP, I don't see the women leadership is celebrated. At least, luckily, in the current cabinet of the current central government, there's almost 25% cabinet position, which is the highest level of governance is held by women. So at least it's a positive sign. But all the other political parties should follow. So yeah, that's the scene of political leadership currently.
Right, right. So, going on to the next one. Shantanu, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going on to the next one. What are the reliable career options available in Indian political space today, especially for the students and youth? You mentioned some of it in between. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think during my main session, I only talked about the mainstream career in electoral politics. But as this question asked, there are a lot of peripheral jobs. You need not be in electoral politics. You need not run for the office. But right, there are a lot of places like, let's say, if you want to run on the policy side, you can work for a lot of think tanks, right? Which finally talk to politicians and ask them to do changes in the policy, right? So you can work in the policy think tank. You can do fellowships like LAMP Fellowship by PRS. You can work in organizations like ADR and PRS, which work for electoral reforms and political reforms, right? Organization like PRS, which work to increase the quality of debate in the parliament, right? You can work with politicians to help them in research, to help them in social media. You can work with NGOs which do a lot of political advocacy, right? So there, you can work with the office of a political party or office of a politician, of an MLA or of an MP. You can take a lot of fellowship that the government of India, like PM fellowship, or the positions that are earlier available with the planning commission. Now the planning commission is dissolved in current form, but any other fellowship in the governance space you can take up. So there is role inside the government, their role with the politician, with the political party, their role with the NGOs which are working in the political electoral reform. So these are the couple of places that one can work. Yeah, sorry, we can take up the next question.
Okay, okay, yeah. So, okay. So Vikas has ended it by saying, "I'm very happy that someone will guide us. I have seen that local netas are not brilliant as any of common people. Then why common people can't become neta? What are the factors and elements?" That's what he's written. So he's sort of happy.
I think the main, I think it's a comment maybe, but I articulate the main challenge in politics is I think politics doesn't pay, and that's the problem that politics needs a lot of time. It's almost like 10 to 12 hours, or even it's not a weekend job, right? You can work somewhere and weekend you can do 5 hours in politics, right? So first of all, you have to be available for the people for the whole 12, 14, 16 hours, right?
Absolutely.
And if you're available for people for 10, 16 hours, how will you earn money, right? If you have a job, you have a business, you have to and that's the mega trap, and that's why you find only rich people enter into politics. Rich
Right.
people means who have a legitimate source of money. I'm not saying a illegal source of money. A
Right.
legitimate source of money, like who have some profession already, or maybe in a lot of cases you'll find the wife or someone else in the family is working, right? You have to run your family, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to fund yourself also. You have to eat food. You have to put fuel in your vehicle. You have to help others. So maybe I think one beautiful way and more practical way. It must sound very odd that maybe if you want to be in politics, then set up a business. Set up some good business that after some years it can run in autopilot mode, so that you can hire a manager and you can only oversee it and you can run it. Right? So
Right.
that can be one of the way that maybe spend some 5 to 7 years in the starting to set up a good business, which can pay you a decent amount for your own sustenance or sustenance of your family, and also which can pay off for your politics.
Right. So, shall we move on to the next question then,
Yeah,
Shant?
if we have any more, yeah.
Yeah, we do. We do. We've got a huge one coming up by Miss Vasudha Gaba. So she says, "Hello everyone. My question is, despite politics being a part of our society as a major vital importance, it is still not considered as a subject of education, as a professional learning subject with requirement of certain specific skills and capability of an individual. As like example, for being a doctor, one must have knowledge of human body, etc. Politics requires more responsibility, accountability, and authority as equal balance. So why not, training as a protocol of basics to entry being focused yet?" So she has a very nice question here, right, Shantanu?
That's a very interesting question. I think, and it's a debate. You will keep hearing that. I'm saying one is the training for politics. That's one thing. One the debate that keep going on that should we have a minimum qualification for a politician, right? And currently in our country, and I think in any country, there's no minimum qualification that required for a politician. And surprisingly, I agree with that. And I'll explain why. That I still agree that there should not be any qualification for a politician, and I'll tell you why. So politics, what is the role of a member of parliament or member of legislative assembly? His work is basically to represent the people of his area in the parliament or in the assembly, right? And then he is held by bureaucrats. So anyone who's in the government, right? He's held by bureaucrats to run, to know politics, to know health, to know if it's a health minister, he'll be having a lot of people who are the domain expert, right? Because if you want to train, right, you can't train anyone because there are almost 80 ministries, so you can't train yourself in 80 ministries, right? You cannot. You technically cannot, right? So what one should be good at is knowing people and connecting with people, and basically you are a bridge between your people and the government, and that politicians are good at. That's why I'm saying you have to spend time with people. You should know what are their aspiration, what they want to do. That's why, which I called in my session as social capital, right? So you may not need a real education. You may have a hands-on on policy making. I'm saying that can be a qualification, but I'm saying a few attending one parliament session or two parliament session will update you on how the policy is being made, right? And then you should be open to advice. You should understand. So Narendra Modi cannot be a best in defense equipments and finance and commerce and rural development, and he's the prime minister of India, right? And any of the good prime minister which he had in past, right? It's not that they're expert of all, so you can't train. But yeah, you should be trained to connect with people, to be in people, to understand people's aspiration, right? So that you can understand the people's aspiration and convert them into policies, or ask your expert to convert into policies, right? So yeah, I'll end there. Yeah, but it's a complicated debate to having a certain qualification for politician.
Okay. So, right. Hello?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that's for the question. I guess we don't have any more questions here,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So, is there an ending note or something that we can and,
Yeah,
find?
I think that's a I think very challenging topic that I've put, and I've talked to
Yeah.
you and Ayush both that that's not a typical career that anybody is choosing. But I think this is a very promising sign that someone like I Dream Career, which is otherwise into a very professional mainstream careers, is talking about something like politics. And see, we are now daring a middle class person, a person who has aspiration for the country, a person who think he can be good for the people in the policy, at least thinking of a career in politics. Someone like I Dream Career can organize a session, and some people can join the session, and maybe some people will watch this video later, right? So at least this is a welcome move that the new age people are thinking this as a career. But the major challenge is, as I told you, the politics doesn't pay you easily.
Not
Till
immediately.
the time you are in the politics, right? A lot of
Yeah,
party positions are unpaid. A lot of party positions are unpaid, which is very interesting. A lot of people who are full time in politics, they're unpaid, right? Only spokesmen get some money maybe to run their office. So political positions a lot of positions are unpaid. Once you are an MLA or an MP, you get, but there are hardly 4,000, 5,000 MLA MPs, right? You get a small, you then you get a decent amount. You get a lot of facilities. But once you are till the time you are in politics, I think running a politics you have to fund yourself, right? And that's the biggest challenge, right? And till the time the politics is the way it is currently, you have to somehow find ways to fund yourself, right? So I repeat myself again. So create a political capital. Try to be useful with some set of politician or political party. Create a social capital by being useful for the people, the constituency that you want to fight election from, and also in the process generate some money where you need not to be involved heavily in, right? So try to start a business which you can run in autopilot mode, or someone in your family can run. You can start a business, someone can family will run, which can fund your politics. If you can put these three things: social capital, political capital, and the real capital, the money,
right.
then I think at least you are rightly placed to pursue your career in politics.
Right. But it is something which people, at least should look for, look at. I mean, the educated youth does not look at it at all, and I mean, they should,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And now I think in last 2 to 3 years, you're finding. I know personally a lot of people who went to Harvard and came back, who left their high-profile job and struggling now and making their inroads into political parties and trying to enter. And because they work with NGOs, they work with think tanks, and they think that if you want to do maximum change, you have to be in the office to create the maximum impact. If you think you have it in you to do something good for the country.
Right. Right. And you also help them personally, right? Through your foundation, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'll try to help a couple of political parties, couple of political leaders who think are right-minded and think in the right direction. Help them in research, data, social media, ourselves, and also try to guide people, if not politics, at least in policy research, internship,
Right.
knowing your country.
For
We run a program
national.
called Slum Chale Hum and Gaon Chale Hum, where we try to orient people to see a slum, to see a village. So yeah, we do a couple of such interviews. Now you can share my email details with the group. It's
Definitely,
shantanu at yuva-foundation.com.
absolutely, I'll do that. I'll
Yeah,
do
my
that.
number is 9871929440. Anybody can
Right.
call SMS me and then we can check it.
Right. We can share it with the audience definitely, and probably we can even have another session. Maybe one of the topics we can have a niche topic. Like this was a broader one. Maybe we can pick a
Right.
certain.
Let's say election itself is a bigger topic.
Yeah,
We can have a
exactly.
topic which is like an adjunct to politics is on policy, that how one can affect policy and career in policies, right? Policy
Absolutely,
policy
absolutely.
advocacy. We can have a
Absolutely.
session.
I mean, because this was more on a general, on a wider note on how to get into what it is all about, and then
Right.
probably it will be more helpful when we go into a more a niche segment, like on a more narrow segment, and then people will be more clear on whosoever is really interested in this, right?
Sure. Sure.
Right? So we can have it again. Great of you, Shantanu, to be connected with us and taking your time out for this session.
Right.
And it was a great session. And we'll be sharing this recording with everybody.
Yeah.
And just to end it for all the viewers, we'll be sending you the recording of this session. Just stay connected because we'll be coming up with more of these webinars in the upcoming months. And you can just stay connected with us through Facebook, through Google Plus, Twitter, which will have the information. We'll be having different webinars. We'll have Shantanu again, definitely. So again in upcoming months, on like I just discussed with you, Shantanu, right? We'll
Yeah.
we'll have you again on a topic which is much more narrow than this one, right? And so yeah, thank you so much, Shantanu, for being there.
My pleasure. Thanks a
And
lot.
yeah. So we're closing this session now,
Thank
right?
you. Bye bye.
Right.
Bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.